Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about Disney World. Whoop, whoop. We just got back from.
Hey, boy, are my arms tired
Are they?
because I was flying. I was doing a half-ass joke because
I
didn't really
got
say
you.
anything.
I got you.
Never mind.
I'm back now.
I doubt that.
Okay, maybe not, but I'm going to share this right now so people can know.
Yeah, so we
What's
just
up?
took, as anybody that's ever watched our channel ever knows that we've taken numerous trips back and forth to Disney World, Disneyland, etc., etc., etc.
Etc.
Um, we planned a big trip this time for the first time ever. This was a trip from not only my lovely wife and myself, but we took both the kids, their spouses, and the granddaughter this time. And my kids hadn't been to Disney since my daughter graduated high school, which was
10
10 years
years
ago at
ago,
least,
at
give or
least.
take.
Yeah.
And one of my son's wife had been when she was little, and my daughter's husband had never been. And of course, my 4-year-old granddaughter had never been. So this was an
Correct.
experience for everybody. It's a great time. But we wanted to jump on there and tell you a little bit about our visit, some changes to what they have now called Lightning Lane that used to be Genie Plus, and some tips and tricks of not only going on the trip, but how to make it as fun and as enjoyable as possible.
I agree.
We're rather experienced at this point.
We've done this a couple of times. We saw the average person goes to Disney Park 3.5 times. We've done much more than that.
We're
We're above average.
What do you think we're on now?
Finally. I have no idea. It's a lot.
What do
I
you-
could go back and tell you.
We'd have to count
I'll
back.
tell you. I'll go back and
We don't
count.
need to do that right now.
No, but I can tell you. And,
Because it all started, like I had the first trip before we ever went together.
yes, we have
with
been
work.
at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Yikes.
Since 2013.
2010, we went.
So that means I probably either went in 2010 or 2009.
2009. So we've been 6 times total together.
Now, is that with Disneyland or just Disney World?
It's just Disney. I just looked up Disney.
Oh, okay.
So
Does that count the Star Cruiser trip too?
it does not. So that's
Oh.
7.
Anyway,
Anyway, it
Doesn't
doesn't matter. At least 7, 8 times. Who knows?
All
Doesn't
right.
matter. Woo!
so my
Lord.
wife is the expert
I'm a
navigator
planner.
with Lightning Lanes, aka Genie Plus. If you don't know what Genie Plus is, I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Drusilla for her to explain this all to
Doesn't
you.
even matter about Genie Plus because now we're on Lightning Lane.
I know, but if they don't know what that is either.
Okay, so basically, when you go to the park, it's like anything else. You wait in line to ride the ride. If you want to skip the big long line, you can buy a Lightning Lane pass. Okay?
Is it expensive?
Not really.
It's all context.
It depends. So I'm going to throw this up here on the screen. We will share and we will see how this works. You're paying for Lightning Lane, which is basically the fast pass to get into the shorter line. And it's per person, per day, per park. Okay? Which seems complicated, but it's not.
It's really not if you pay attention.
It's not if you pay attention. So you're going to do it by park, and there's 2 options now. So you have a Lightning Lane multipass, which basically allows you to book 3 rides at a time. Okay, you can pre-plan. The cool thing is now 1 week before you go, you can be like, I am going to go to Magic Kingdom. I'm going to buy a multi-pass. And a week before you go, you can pick your first 3 rides and the times.
And a fun note is you used to only be able to pick them when you were in the park.
Yes, you had to wait until
With
you
the
were
only
there.
exception they changed for some of the premium rides like Rise of the Resistance, Flight of Passage, and at the time, Mini Mickey Railroad, you could book them at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it was from your hotel if you're at a resort.
Correct.
So that's a big, big change.
Yeah. So, and a lot of things are now on multi-pass that weren't before. So that's the first thing. You buy it the week before. You plan. You can buy. Like we were there for 4 days. The week before, I bought Lightning Lane multi-pass for all 4 days. Picked the first 3 rides for each of the next 4 days of that week, and we
So
were.
you
done.
already picked 12 rides.
I had
before
already
you
picked
started.
12 rides before we even started.
And I will say this too is having that planned out makes your life a little more comfortable because you already know the stuff you're going to get. The rides that you're picking, you kind of know you're going to get to ride the thing you want to ride.
Right.
Right. And they're all on there for you to kind of shuffle around. She'll go through all that.
Yeah.
And then you have your other rides, which are.
Okay, so let's go back to the Sherry screen here. The other option is a Lightning Lane single pass. These are for the really highly coveted, hard to get on rides, the ones that you would wait like 4 hours in line for. You can just straight up buy an access pass for it. So like here they show Tron and the Seven Dwarfs Train, Rise of the Resistance, Avatar. I know people that waited in line for that Star Wars Rise of Resistance thing for 4 hours, and then the ride broke down, and they wasted 4 hours of the day in line.
And they never did get to ride it?
No. Oh. And if you do this, you can just straight up buy a pass, and you're guaranteed to be able to ride this ride. Same thing, you buy the pass for the day, and you are given a time slot. Come between this hour and you can ride it. Yeah,
so everything you book, you're given an hour window. So that doesn't mean, oh my God, I got to rush this as soon as it's my time.
Right.
It's like on the way to some of the rides, we'd ride 2 or 3 other rides that had like 5-minute wait times.
Correct.
Do a show, and then, okay, we got to be over here. We never once missed a time. And usually I think there's a little wiggle room.
Yeah, they're okay.
Between a few minutes before and after.
Yeah, 5 minutes or so.
And I also want to point out before you get deeper into this, one of the concerns we had was we had a 4-year-old with us. And obviously the 4-year-old can't ride everything.
Right.
Surprisingly, she can ride almost everything because of her height. There was a couple things we had planned her to ride and we took her away from.
Yeah, they were a little
because we're like, but they have what's called a handoff.
A rider switch.
Yeah, and so basically you just go talk to people before you scan in, and then 2 people can stand out, and then the next person can actually take that person's place. So it actually worked out really well. We were usually the ones that stood off.
So like the kids went ahead and rode it, and while we watched the kid, and then they came back, and then we went and rode it. Even though we were probably outside of that 1 hour time window, they knew we were standing by.
And because when you book anybody, it books everybody in your party.
Well, you can choose.
Well, I'm just saying it will book everybody in your party, and since she's booked into the ride already, it automatically be able to one other person to come in and take her place.
No.
That's what the lady explained.
She wasn't booked on some of them.
Well, on the ones like on the standard ones that we paid for or whatever.
I didn't pay for her on the ones I knew she couldn't ride.
I'm talking about in general. The lady said because she's in the party, that's why one extra person gets to ride again.
Sometimes, if they're nice and they let you, yes.
That's what she told me. She's like, if your party's booked, she's part of the party. That's why an extra person gets to ride again. I know in Guardians you rode because you had paid for it.
I had paid for her.
But in Avatar, did you pay for her too?
No.
No, so that's why one extra person got to ride again because you're still part of the party.
I gotcha.
So they kept the switch
They
off.
let us. Yeah. They let us do it. Okay, so then let me show you here how this works. Don't get scared. So here we have the 4 parks, and we're still on the Lightning Lane page. If you click on each one, it specifically tells you, hey, here's your multi-pass options, and it tells you which rides are available for multi-pass. So the way it works is there's a tier 1. So these are like the highly coveted rides. You can book 1 from this group, and then your other 2 here. Or
I have a question.
You can book all 3 from this group.
Are the tier 1s all the pay ones?
No.
That's a separate
thing. It's still
okay.
multi-pass. We're only on multi-pass.
I got you. Okay.
So, like
as you can see, she ran this. I just followed
so on this one, I picked Tiana's Bayou Adventure because it's the brand new one. I knew we wanted to ride it. The kids are anti-Thunder Mountain Railroad and Space Mountain because they don't like it. And one time we got stuck on Thunder Mountain Railroad, and we had to climb off and climb up and down that mountain to get out.
While someone was on crutches?
Yes, not okay. So my thing was, as soon as we are at Tiana's, then we'll go and book Jungle Cruise or Peter Pan or something. And then down here, I just picked 2. Like, I think I picked Haunted Mansion because that's my favorite, and I don't know what else. Right? So we just kept going.
Yeah.
The cool thing was the week we went, there wasn't that many people. Which is a whole other situation. So we were able to jump in and out of things very easily without even having to use all the multi-pass.
Yeah.
But we did anyway on some, so we could ride it 2 times.
Yeah, there was like one, I think, with Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we delete it? No. We rode that one.
We rode it, but I didn't use the Lightning Lane.
Oh, did you not on that? We just never ended up riding it.
We didn't. Yeah, we didn't, but
we did that with the Rapids thing.
The Rapids, the River Rapids, the Mickey Minnie. The wait time was short in the morning, so we rode it, and then we came back in the afternoon and I lightning lane it, so we got to ride it twice.
Yeah, and like the Rapids, the whatever River Rapids and Animal Kingdom.
River Rapids.
The granddaughter loved that one so much. We literally came off. I
think she liked you getting wet on the ride.
I don't.
She just wanted you to get splashed again.
Well, we immediately walked right back in the line and rode it again.
Yeah, we did. It was awesome.
And I did. I was the only one in the family that got soaked.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask her if that's what she liked.
Probably so. So that's how Lightning Lane works. It gets a little confusing. You can ask. And then down at the bottom of that same page, so all these things are multi-pass. You pick 3 at a time. 1 from here, 2 from here, or all 3 from this. 3 at a time. And here's the single lane. So these are the ones that you're paying per ride. The Seven Dwarf Mine Train and Tron. This is like the example just for this part. So you would straight up buy a ticket just for that. This one, there's no limit. If you want to buy 5 tickets to Tron, okay. I think you can.
But also understand, you do not have to buy a ticket to ride it.
No, you don't have to buy tickets to ride any of these.
Because I've had some people that got confused and got all mad and angry about having to pay for rides. Like, no, that's just so you don't have to wait in line.
If you don't want to wait in line.
But those rides will also shut down early in the day because they are so full of people in line. People that bought the passes,
ticket.
Whatever. I think it was Guardians. Was shut down about halfway through the day.
Yeah, by like 12 or 1 o'clock, there were no more available seats because people had already pre-bought a special ticket to jump the line.
Yeah, or were in line.
Or they had already joined. This is the other thing for very popular rides. They had joined the virtual queue, and the entire day was filled. So, you've got to just get up that week before at 6 a.m. and put
this woman was talking about it weeks before. She had on her calendar. She's like, it's Lightning Lane Day. It's Lightning Lane Day. And I'm just like, okay, dear.
Nobody cares but me.
She was the only one that cared. But I tell you what, as much grief as I give her, even our son-in-law, who had no interest in this trip.
He was just rare.
Yeah, he was like grumpy about even going on this trip. When the trip was over, he was like, he was converted. He had a great time. He had a blast. But
how can you not have a magical time?
But he did say, he goes, I don't think I would have done this without Lightning Lane.
No.
I would have been angry because there was one line we stood in, Ratatouille, I think it was, because we couldn't get into it.
We stood for 40 minutes. That's the only thing we waited for.
Yeah, that was the longest we stood. It was 40 minutes for one ride. Everything else was 5 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 tops. But he goes, this is what you have to normally wait in? And we're like, yeah, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
And even 40 minutes, it was listed at 50 minutes when we got in the line. So it still moved.
It moved pretty well. The other thing I think is really important I wanted to share is the crowd calendar. I am a firm believer in the crowd calendar. Shout out to Love the Mouse. They put together a crowd calendar. So basically this tells you the busiest times of year. Red, do not go. So for sure, don't go the first New Year. You don't go during the week of Christmas.
We've done that too.
We've done it.
We used to always go in February, which was a downtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this first week or so. So you want to go when it's green. Just remember, go when it's green.
What is the yellow?
Yellow is moderate crowds.
Oh, okay. So it's
red,
we
yellow,
went
green. This last week of August, which is great because kids go back to school in Florida and the locals think it's too hot to be outside. For us, it was only in the 90s. The humidity is bad, but it wasn't hot like it was here. So it was a great week to go, and it really was low crowds. It was like ghost town.
It wasn't like desolate like some people will spin it to like, oh my God, Disney's in danger.
Right.
But it was like we were walking up to rides and had 5-minute waits and
10, 15-minute waits.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever anything outside of like the big rides that were like even the Mickey Minnie, which is normally an insane amount of time, wasn't that big.
It was
initially.
like 20 minutes or so. So I was like, okay, we can do
It's also a case of do your research before you go. Look at, there's a lot of people like allears.net, Walt Disney World News.
Molly.
What is Molly's Mammoth something?
Yeah, Molly.
I don't remember. There was this lady, Molly, we followed for years. She was part of allears.net, and she started her own channel.
Molly McAwesome.
No, that's not it.
That's her Instagram.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But anyway, if you go watch
the Mammoth Club.
Yeah, the Mammoth Club. They will tell you wait times, when the best time is certain rides to hit. Like going on, like I'm really glad we listened on the safari.
Yes,
We
first
went on
thing
the
in the
safari
morning.
first thing because that's when the animals are out.
Yeah.
So this was the first time we've been on the safari and we saw everything.
We saw all the animals.
The lions were asleep.
Giraffes were walking on the road. We had to wait. I mean, they were all
they were
awake.
eating and up and out and moving around and doing stuff. The lions were asleep, but they're always asleep. But we've gone later in the day and you see nothing.
Nothing. It's so hot. They're all hiding.
And there's people when they get in the parks, they rush to certain rides.
Yes.
So
and that's kind of one of them. And Avatar is one of them. And now we know Tron and Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mickey Minnie.
This is the first time that even
Slinky Dog
we got into. So that's the other thing I want to talk about before we end the show. The stuff we got to do for the first time ever.
Yeah, so because we had the kid with us, it was interesting. I feel like we've been so many times, but this was the first time we've done a lot of things we've never done before.
Well, here's the thing you have to do to plan a trip like this. And I mean, people aren't stupid, but I don't think people think it like this. And we haven't really had to think like this until now because it's always just been me and you.
Yeah.
It's I want to go and do what makes you happy and make you enjoy yourself. You want to do the same thing for me most of the time.
Yeah.
And so we end up having a good time. But when you're taking a group of people, you have to think about the audience you have with you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 4-year-old. We also know she can't do certain things, that she can be afraid of certain things. We put her on some things that we thought she may be afraid of, but they were afraid things we knew she could handle. Yeah. Haunted Mansion, Dinosaur, things like that. We made a decision to not put her on Guardians of the Galaxy after we wrote it, even though we originally were allowed to put her on there. And I'm like, how would anybody?
Well, because she's tall.
Yeah,
enough,
her dad was like, we're not putting her on this thing before he ever got on it because I'm not dealing with that. Mm-mm. He made the proper choice.
Yes, he made a good choice.
But know your audience, but also your adult audience.
Yeah.
Talk to everybody about what they're willing to ride and not willing to ride.
That's what I did because I was like, look.
She wanted to go in blind, trick everybody, and make them suffer through stuff. But you're spending money.
Yeah, and
so we booked stuff. So with the Tron and Guardians, I'm going to give props. My kids and myself included. None of us are really big roller coaster fans.
These people,
but all of us rode it.
Yes,
we paid out of pocket for it.
All of you.
And they went in blind. They were not happy.
No.
When they came off, my daughter especially. My son was more angry than traumatized. My daughter was a little traumatized.
She was crying.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, it was sad. But like I'm on the idea of like these are brand new rides. I need to ride them
at least once, right?
I've now decided I'm not riding either one of them again.
I don't think I would ride Tron again. It's
violent.
So
not violent. It's like
jarring.
It is.
It takes off.
It feels way faster than the other one, even though they were the same.
Fast, yeah, it does, and I can see how it could hurt your neck or something.
But see, even though I'm not willing to ride it again, I'm also willing to sit by while she does.
Yeah, I don't think I would ride Tron again. Guardians, I would absolutely. I mean, I bought the shirt. I mean, I wrote it twice.
I was excited for Guardians because, again, being a comic fan, liking the movies, I wanted to see something new. The problem was I didn't know fully what that ride was. I knew it was a roller coaster.
I knew you went forwards and backwards.
Yes, I didn't know.
And you do.
I didn't know what it actually did, which is insanity.
And I loved it. And I think, you know what? I think the benefit of being the shorty is in that chair. I was looking at, I could just lean my head. You need to lean your head back because you can totally get whiplash on that ride.
If you watch the video of me or see the photo of me on it, I don't look terrified, but you look like I'm super hyper-focused. I'm like, and that was me like, so I'm sitting next to a stranger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to hold my shit together next
to this guy. A lovely British man, I think.
Yes. And he's like, I don't know what this is. You know, I'm like, I don't, but I don't think it's a good thing. And then I was talking about Tron, and he goes, oh, we missed that. I said, I don't think you missed it, man. But, and it's funny because me and my son had the exact same response. Terry Crews is in the opening show, and Terry goes like, you're going to have a good time. I finished that ride. I'm like, F you, Terry Crews. And so my son went and wrote it. He came out immediately coming. He goes, F Terry Crews.
But I loved it. I thought it was great.
And she wrote it twice. She took the place of the child.
Oh my gosh.
So it worked out perfectly.
So fun. I want to ride
I will say, well, let's finish the other stuff. Well, I guess we're done.
Go ahead.
I will say this about Guardians. If you love roller coasters, it's a fantastic ride.
It's a great
It's brilliantly designed. The what they do with it and how they incorporate the visuals. It's like they took Space Mountain and amped it up because you're flying through space, but there's all these screens and ships flying by and all this stuff that's nonstop. And then you feel like you broke away from the rest of the cart. You're spinning and you're shifting and twisting and going up and down, and it does everything but loops. And I'm not quite sure we didn't do a loop. But
we didn't. There was no
I know we
upside
didn't,
down loops.
but it's an intense ride. I had someone else ask me just this morning if they should ride it, and what did I think of it. I told them I told them that exact description. I said I also will say that when I got off of it, mind you, I don't like roller coasters. My legs were shaky. My head was a little off kilter, and because you have to walk downstairs leaving. I don't know if I told you, but my legs were trying to struggle a little bit coming down the stairs. I had to hold the railing a little because my whole body was just shaking. Not in fear, it was just the I guess the adrenaline or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I think I'll skip that.
Oh no, you should.
But I think he has heart problems too, so I don't know if he can.
And it does tell you on there if you have heart problems or whatever, not to. Not me. I was giggling giddily. I love it.
My daughter was screaming, crying.
She cried. She closed her eyes. She missed the whole thing. She just closed her
I
eyes
don't think
and cried.
I don't think she missed it.
Oh, I thought it was lovely. Anyhow, but okay, so yes. Plan ahead. Ask your group, what are you willing to ride? Because if you don't think you're going to like it, just skip it. Don't
because you can't return.
You don't get your money back.
But you can move them around if something closes. If a ride closes down, like for our case, Tiana's, we never got the ride because it went down all day. And so in that case, it's not a pay ride, was it?
It was part of the multi-pass, so we just had to pick something else.
But if it had been a pay ride and it closed down, they will refund your money.
They will.
But if you decide not to do it, just because you don't want to do it, you can move it to a different ride that's available, but they will not credit you if that ride's cheaper.
Correct.
If you pay $20 for a ride and another one there's only $10, you're not getting your $10 back.
Nah.
So just know that going in, so that way you're not buying rides that people hoping somebody will ride something.
Yeah.
We did that knowing that they probably weren't going to want to ride it, but we could use the leverage of we paid for this, get on there and shut up.
Yeah.
And we only did it twice, and they didn't trust us after the first one. So
yeah. So anyways, okay. So then fun things we did this time around, I guess, because the kid was there. We met so many princesses this time, but you know what? It did not take very long because there was not a big crowd.
Yeah.
So we met Belle, Fancy Princess Belle, poor Belle.
Oh, what's Belle? Well, the first Belle was because we went to the
we did the Belle show,
story
show, sing along.
Where we've done that twice now because my wife loves that.
That's my favorite.
And she comes in there every single time we go in there. So you go in this room and there's the talking wardrobe, and they pick people and they give you these cardboard cutouts.
Oh, you got picked this time.
No, I didn't get picked. You shoved me forward, and
I'm like, you'll do it.
Had to be a knight. With my only line is we. Excuse me. But she always wants to be the wardrobe because what is your line?
Oh.
Yeah, she does this. And so she does that, but she belts it out.
Yeah.
Because she's a singer. And every single time, everybody in the room are like, so the guy that's picking things like, everybody give me this one. She doesn't. They always like, oh, well, here.
Here you go.
And in the show, when Belle does it, she has to do her thing. Belle's always like, oh, my goodness.
Anyways, we met Moana, Pocahontas,
Olaf.
They were so excited.
Two of the evil stepsisters.
Anna and Elsa.
No.
The stepsisters.
I'm not talking about Anna and Eliza. I'm talking about
the stepsisters from
Cinderella.
Yeah. Fancy Nancy, Vampirina, Doc McStuffins, all the Disney Junior characters. Frozone.
Chewbacca and Ray.
Yeah.
There's some stormtroopers.
We met a bunch of people, so it was nice.
We did meet Anna and Eliza.
Anna and Elsa from Frozen. So all that, and the little kid got her character autograph, so that went good.
Oh, Mickey and Minnie, obviously.
Yeah, we did the Beauty and the Beast sing-along. We did a Frozen sing-along.
I want to give props. We are not Frozen fans. We don't really like the movie.
At all. I like part 2.
But that Frozen show was actually kind of cool.
It was pretty fun because they made it hip and fun.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, there's 2 variations. There's one Frozen show that I don't know if they have at Disney World. Maybe it's Paris only, but it's like a stage production, very much like the Beauty and the Beast show.
Yeah, that's in Paris.
But this was
a sing-along.
It's a sing-along narration where it's got 2 people on stage that are telling the story. They play the scenes, but then they have some jokes. A couple of characters come out on stage, and so it's interactive. But it was, I think the guy especially made it funny doing it. Like he even raps the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at one moment.
Yes.
It was a fun little thing.
Fun.
But if you hate that stuff, it's also a good time to not only sit down in a cold air conditioned place, but to take a nap.
Take a nap while your kids are singing. Yes. And then we went to go see the Lion King show, which amazingly we'd never seen.
We've always avoided it.
Even though one time we got tickets from a guy in the Lion King show that you knew got us tickets, and we never even went and saw him in the show. We were so sorry.
And that show was actually, I would go to that show again.
That was a lot of fun. So.
And this is not a stage production. This is almost like a Cirque du Soleil Lion King thing with big animatronic lion and Timon and Pumbas and elephants and giraffes and circus people and singers. It was a great little show.
So I feel like we
and my son got chosen
that time he got
to go out and be a warthog.
So we did a lot of things that I don't think we normally would have done, but I'm glad we did. Yeah. Right? So
here's my thing. If you've never been to Disney, the first time you go, you should do any and everything you can think of, even if it's something you don't think you want to do.
Yeah.
Because that's how you find those little magical moments of stuff. Like something like Country Bears, which they have a brand new show. We got to see the brand new show.
I liked it fine.
I like the new show. I love the old one better. That's a nostalgic thing too. But I will say the new show was fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
But looking at it, it might not be something that looks like it's interesting to you.
Correct.
But it's a fun little show. It's also one of those things that I think different generations are going to connect with it differently. We love the things like the Country Bears because I also think it reminds us of Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese's back in the day.
Yeah.
Whereas younger people like my son-in-law or whatever, they were probably like, okay, you know,
like, whatever. What's the big deal?
My granddaughter missed the Country Bears altogether.
Yeah, she
I was bummed about.
She had to go poop.
She had to go poop, and I was bummed she missed it, mainly because that's one of the videos I showed her to see if she'd be scared of it, and she was interested in it, and then didn't get to see it. So, but it is what it is.
It happens. She also did the Bibbidi Boppity thing where you go get dressed up like a princess.
Bibbidi Boppity boutique makeover.
She really liked it, thought it was great. I think everybody had a good time with that one. So
she was adorable.
Super cute.
Little bell, had her hair done, her makeup done.
It was really cute.
And they give you a lot of looks. They give her a full dress, a wand.
You get all the makeup
and combs and everything they use on them. They give them some sparkles, and it was a cool little thing.
It was really
It's a little pricey, but I think they were really happy.
I think it was worth it. So.
And then you built a new droid again.
I built a new droid, so that was fun.
That's the other thing I like that too now is the light. I built the last lightsaber I needed for the collection. So the lightsaber and the droid builds, you prepay for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already done. So you don't have to worry about did I spend all my money before I got there.
Correct.
They were paid way before we got there.
Good deal. I'm trying to think what else did we do for the kids.
I will also say, or not I'll say, but we've talked about this previous things. You have to, if you want to go into the fancy dining things, you got to pre-book dining experiences too. Like there's plenty of places to eat, of little restaurants, kiosks, things like this where you can eat all day and not have to do that.
Correct.
So don't think that you're getting sucked into something you don't want to spend. But if you want to go to like a sit down meal that's not like just pizza or hamburgers or tacos, that kind of thing, you have to pre-book those. They don't have walk-ins on most of those anymore, which is a good thing because it takes so long to get into anything, even with your reservation sometimes. We kind of swore off of them after the first few times we did them. We love them, but it takes them a lot of time because you've got to be there at a certain time.
Takes up time.
This time, though, we decided to do some different ones. We did one we've always done. The one was at Disney Springs, was an Italian place we'd never been to.
Yes.
Wasn't part of the park. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
We did go to Sanaa again, which is at Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is fantastic.
Really love it.
Ethiopian food?
No, it's Indian African fusion.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it says Ethiopian on the
side. Did it?
I thought it did. Anyway, fantastic. We went there the last time we were out there and we loved it, so we wanted to take the kids to that one.
Indian influenced African dishes.
Okay, sorry. I saw Ethiopian somewhere in the menu thing. Maybe they had something on the menu that was Ethiopian.
Maybe so.
And then our new favorite, we went
Who knew?
Woody's Roundup Barbecue.
We went to Toy Story Land because I was like, the kid will like this. It's Toy Story themed. You know, maybe you see Woody or somebody walk through. Oh my gosh, this was so. First of all, you get to ride a horsey to the table.
Oh my god!
It's like, does anyone ride a horsey? She's like, me. So I was like, oh my gosh, the cutest thing.
They have stick horses.
She grabbed your horse and she's like, woman.
I didn't even know she knew how to ride a stick horse.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because it's just not a thing that's common nowadays. And she galloped all the way to the table.
It was hilarious.
And I saw grown people do it too.
Yes, grown-ups were doing it too.
I would have done it, but I thought she was just talking to the kid until I saw her. I'm like, oh, jeez.
We could have all done it.
But but
the barbecue was actually decent.
Yeah, it was good food. It's family style. So they bring you all your sides. They bring you a big thing full of ribs, sausage, chicken, sliced beef.
beef.
Is that it?
Yeah, and then you get a bunch of sides and rolls, and they'll bring you more.
We don't know if they'll bring you more meat, but we know they'll bring you more sides for sure.
Yeah.
Then it includes a dessert. And then they even have a thing. You're basically inside the toy box.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear like stuff playing over the thing of the toys talking and being silly. But then if they say Andy's coming, everybody in the restaurant has to freeze what they're doing and not move. And I want to give props to everybody in that restaurant because everybody interacted and did it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone did. There were a few people that didn't, but I don't know if they understood what was happening.
Like I was walking back from the bathroom at one point and they said freeze and I stopped mid-walk with my foot up and stood there and the lady at the table looked at me, she's like, and I just stood there and it's only like a minute, if that, 30 seconds sometimes. And then they're like, good job, everybody. And I continued walking.
That's awesome.
I got back to the table and Daniel's like, did you freeze? I said, I sure as hell did.
Anyway, but yeah, that was surprisingly really, I would go back there, even though it's a child, in theory it's child themed, but it's Toy Story. That's us.
Yeah.
That's our generation. Is Toy
so
Story.
Let me ask you this too. One of the rides that has always gotten away from us. We finally got on it this time, which was Slinky Dog Dash. There's rides at Disney that sometimes don't make any sense why they're so popular.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Peter Pan's Flight.
Freaking Peter Pan pisses me off.
It's the same ride as Winnie the Pooh, as Snow White, as what is the other one? Little Mermaid.
No, it's
all those same. But I mean, it's that same style ride. Nobody knows, but that ride is always.
I don't know why.
Packed. The other one would be Slinky Dog Dash.
Never have gotten Slinky Dog.
It is labeled as a kid's roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a kid's roller coaster.
It is a kid's roller coaster, but it's not the Barnstormer. The
No,
Barnstormer is a kid's roller coaster. This is like
teenagers.
Because I got on that one too, and I would ride the Slinky Dog one again. It was fun.
Good. Well,
but it goes about what, 40 miles an hour?
Yes.
I think we decided. So it's only 20 miles an hour shorter.
And that was like a last minute. There's a 7:55 slot. Book it.
Yeah, we booked it not knowing if we were going to make it.
And I'm like, you know what? You know me. I'm like, I am staying in this park until I ride this
people
ride.
were getting tired at this point. We ended up, big thanks to Disney, we were able to move all of our reservations for the lightsaber and the droid build up earlier.
Yes, thank you so much.
But they normally don't do that, but because it wasn't packed, they were able to work everybody in and get it done early.
Yes.
And then it was like, by the time we were done though, and we're going to stop at one of this other thing, by that time it was like, well, let's just go do it. Why not?
Yeah.
And it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
Did Daniel ride that one?
No, because he's the scaredy cat. He ended up taking the kid to go shoot aliens.
Oh, that's right. He wanted to. No.
Oh, the teacup.
She wanted to do the buzz spin thing again. Okay, that's right.
That's fine.
So he gets a pass because he was making memories with his child.
Yeah, our daughter, on the other hand, is just a scaredy cat.
She was just sitting down.
Yeah, she's like, I'll watch all this stuff.
I don't think he wanted to ride it either, so it doesn't matter.
No, it's fine. They're not roller coaster people, so that's okay.
But we rode. So pull up your chart that you posted today about miles and everything else.
About how many miles we walked?
Yeah, I think I had that in rides and stuff too, didn't it?
I didn't do the rides yet.
Oh, then never mind. I thought you had all of that.
No, I just wrote how many
miles. So yeah, so in 4 days of parks, and mind you, because of the Mickey Mouse Halloween party bash,
spectacular.
Magic Kingdom closed early.
So we got kicked out early.
We left way earlier than we originally planned, but we still did everything we wanted to do.
We did everything on our list.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I'll post the list of all the rides.
And we've done a video about this before, but for people that go into this about, well, we don't have money to do this kind of trip or whatever else, the first part is saving. Obviously, you've got to save
money.
If you plan your trip a year in advance,
2 years.
Only you have to look at the different tiers of saving. First tier of saving is your flights.
Yeah.
Second tier of saving is your spending money. Your last is actually obviously booking the trip itself. Mm-hmm. Now you got to book the trip first, but that's like making sure you can do all those other things because you don't want to book a trip then you can't get there and then you have no money to spend.
Right.
But you can go through Disney Travel. Is that what it's technically
just
under?
book it on Disneyworld.
Well, go to the Disney website. It's essentially a Disney Travel thing. But don't go through some random Yahoo that I'm a Disney whatever. Go through the Disney website.
I'm sorry. I know that's how people make a living. Like I could do that. I could be a Disney Travel whatever. You don't need them. Just call me and take me for tacos. I will tell you how to do this.
But if you go to the Disney website and you book your trip, you can book it, what, a year in advance?
You can book a year in advance.
And make payments.
You only have to pay $200. I know you say only. You have to pay $200 down.
And then your payments can be anything you want them to be.
If you want to pay $5 a week, you can. You know, if you want to do a big like $500 or $1,000 payment, you know, in 3 months, you can do that too as you start saving. But if you want to log in every day and pay $1,
it just has to be paid off, what, 60 or 90?
90 days before.
90 days before your trip.
Yeah. So it is possible. And so like what we did is we planned this trip 2 years ago. We started saving 2 years ago, booked it a year ago, and then make payments to pay it off.
I had the kids making payments.
Prepaid the lightsabers, prepaid the droids.
But you do have to pay attention to dates, because when things like that pop up, like, oh, we can pre-book this. Do we want to do this? So then we're on the phone that day. Do y'all want to do lightsabers or droids?
Yes, no. You gotta book it quick because the time slots will go.
Yeah. So. Then it's the day the rides pop up on the Lightning Lane, and
yeah,
you know, so you got to look at that. I'm gonna book this stuff, and it's okay. I have the expense of the Lightning Lane. You can do the Lightning Lane and not pay for any of the premium ones if you don't want to, if you can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, and look at the time when it's available.
And then
the biggest thing you don't want to do, and we've all done this, we've talked about this numerous times on different things, is patience. Be patient. Don't book a trip of any kind. Forget Disney. Don't book any kind of vacation that when you get home, you're burdened financially.
Yes, you can't pay your bills.
You can't pay your bills. We spent actually, weirdly, we spent less money than we spend by ourselves.
With 7 people.
With 7 people. We didn't pay for everybody's everything, but we paid for a lot of stuff.
I paid for a couple of meals.
But
I bought some shirts. I bought a purse.
Yeah, I bought a few Star Wars items and stuff. I think it's because we didn't buy. Well, you didn't buy. Well, you did buy the purse. I didn't buy a lot of lightsabers this time.
Last time it's like I want one of every lightsaber.
That was 2 times before, but yeah.
I don't know how this.
I don't know why we've gone through so much money before. I think we just keep buying a bunch of extra crap.
I think so.
Anyway, we have a specific budget that we said this is how much spending money we want to take on a trip.
Yep.
If we don't have that spending money, then we discuss, okay, we don't have the money we wanted to have. Is what we have enough? If it's not, that trip is delayed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. With the kids, it was also our chance, even though they're adults, to try to teach them how to do what we learned to do later in life.
Yeah.
Because I took my kids on many a vacation that then I spent 3 months playing catch up on bills. You know, there's I say it's a famous story. It's a famous story in the family that we always talk about. The last trip we took with the kids when they were younger, we had check or something didn't come through or whatever, and barely had enough money to get any food or get gas to get home on a road trip, and had to go to Denny's. Ironically, is when they did their...
Thank you, Denny's, for the 2468 menu.
Yeah, they had just dropped that, and my kids got to have a nice, lovely meal. Didn't understand anything. They just thought we weren't very hungry, sharing a pancake.
Yeah. And then I think on one trip we went to go eat at CC's. Thank you, CC's, for the all you can eat when it was like $4.99.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is look at your budget of not just spending money. Look at, okay, I'm going to be eating.
Think about food.
I'm going to buy stuff. You know, I want to help pay these people for something, or I can't pay them. And then be honest with the people you're with. So, like, we didn't necessarily tell my family that we were going to pay for the 3 big meals we went on, but we budgeted it ahead of time with the intent, because we knew darn well they weren't going to be able to afford that.
Yeah.
And so when we got to the Woody's Roundup, I don't know if you saw their faces.
Yeah. This
was the 3rd meal at this point, and we were telling about it, and they're like, oh, how much is this? And Drew's looking at it. She's like, I think it was like 40 a person or something. We're like, it's be like 40 a person. They were all kind of like, ew. But nobody was going to tell us we couldn't eat there.
Yeah.
They're like, and I'm like, we got it. And they're like, oh. And the relief on everybody's face suddenly was like, oh God, because, you know, each one of them was 2 and or 3 people.
Yeah.
And we're like, we got it. Don't worry. We budgeted this already. We made this plan ahead of time.
It's so funny. One of them, they were like, how much? You're like, ugh. And I was like, oh, it's not even as much as I thought. And that's when Mackenzie's like, this is my goal in life, to be like you were like, it's not even what I thought it was going to be. I'm like,
and just so you know,
that's where I want them to be.
We are far from well off.
Oh,
we have our paycheck to paycheck week.
I had to work 2 jobs for this, guys.
So,
but it was worth it to me.
But also, even giving up a second job, again, it goes back to patience. Like, we're not going to travel as much next year. We have one more trip this year that was already paid for. But we're not going to travel as much next year. So we're going to spend a year paying off stuff that we may have spent on a credit card, saving up money so that in 2026, we can go on a big trip.
I've already started an envelope, baby.
Yeah, so
throw $5 here and there.
It's the idea of figuring out diverse of streams of income.
Yeah.
Where you have a PayPal account, a Venmo account. My daughter has a plasma donation account. Like she went all in and was donating plasma and walking
she was
dogs.
Dog sitting. Like she was just
she's a vet tech. She has a good job, but she's also young. They're potentially going to try to have kids, and they make decent enough money to pay their bills and live, but they don't have the money to be doing a bunch
all
of
the extras.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it takes time, but the thing is you got to save and you got to be patient. And the other thing too, I'm a big stickler on this. Like, don't borrow from your savings.
Yeah.
And if you do, you pay that back immediately.
And so let me talk to you all about this.
And you're all like, it's okay, let it go. I'm like,
no. We have a fight about this, and it's not because she's wrong. I love that she does that because that does keep us in a good place.
Yeah.
But
planning
it also is an unhealthy stress level for her on some level of when we take money out of an envelope. There was a money we're saving.
Money from the emergency envelope, the emergency cash envelope, right?
Which is there for
I do
emergencies, right? We have a bank account that's our emergency bank account that's used for if we need money for bills or we're short something or you need gas. There's money separate over here, right?
Right.
She may put $5 in there, maybe put 20, maybe put 500. We're having a good week, whatever. But her craziness is she's like, I don't know what we're going to do. I have to this. I got to pay this money back. And so when you say pay money back, to me, it's somebody we owe money to. She's trying to pay $300 back that we took to pay bills
from the
emergency fund that was meant to pay bills. Now that is a debt owed to herself.
Over the top.
And I'm like, I love that, dear, but
I know
we're not in trouble like you're making it sound now.
But
so
that's how I strict I am about saving the money.
Yeah, but that's also why
for everything.
We just got back from Disney with 7 people.
Yes, and didn't spend as much as we have with just 2
people. And we came home.
What did we do in the past?
Oh no, we came home and not once do we think about, okay, we can pay. She immediately like, okay, I'm gonna pay my bills now because the money for the bills was still sitting there waiting.
Yeah,
we didn't touch it.
It really is about.
I didn't touch my business account that I have, which
being patient.
When I was younger, we had to dip into stuff. You'd pay stuff. You'd been down to that last $5, and you come home and just like, man, that was a blast. I don't know how we're gonna pay rent, or I can't get gas tomorrow.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah,
don't.
Patience.
Be patient. Like you start saving now, even if you're saving now and you're gonna do the vacation like 3 years, that's okay.
Yes.
Put a goal together. Like I'm gonna try to save $50 a month.
I will never forget. I know the exact vacation we were on that everything changed in the world of the way we did things, and that was Chicago. Chicago was our first trip we took that we had planned, we had saved, we had way more money. And when I say save money, you're spending money. That's not I'm planning to spend this money. Is you're basically giving yourself an FU amount of money that I can now do anything I want while I'm on my trip. It does not affect my life.
Yeah.
We're on this trip. We were shopping. We were at a Star Wars celebration. I've been to numerous celebrations, but I've run out of money at a celebration. I've been able to not afford to buy things. It's miserable. It's embarrassing. But I remember we were buying stuff left and right. We're doing this, doing that. And then we got snowed in. We had money to buy a flight. Rent a car because we couldn't get a flights out. So we're like, screw it, let's rent a car. So now we had
I'll drive home from Chicago.
We had a car. We could afford to stay at a hotel on the way home. By the time we got home and still had money left over, there was still no burden other than the extra time it took us to get home. And I realized at that point, I'm like,
this is what we got to be doing.
Such a more relaxed. I didn't worry about money once this entire trip with these 7 people. 7 people, and not once did I get concerned, do we have any money? And to the point where I even felt I had my proud parent moment of being able to look over to my children, knowing my daughter was potentially having a little bit of an issue before the trip. Twice, I don't know if you ever heard me, but twice I asked her, I said, how are you doing over there? She's like, I said, financially, you good? She goes, yeah, I'm good. I said the same thing to my son. Are you good? Yeah, I'm fine. I thought, money-wise, you okay? Yeah. I was like, I felt good being able to ask them that, knowing that I could help them if we needed to. But also knowing they weren't going to ask me for something, and they weren't going to lie to me that they were having trouble. And then getting home and asking them, how are y'all both doing? We're good.
Okay, good.
I'm like, sweet. My son's like, going to pay my rent now. I'm like,
Me too, man. Me too.
I remember being his age and being like, well, I'm not going to pay my rent now.
No, so
anyway.
But the thing that's exciting is hearing the kids are like, we want to do another trip and we're going to start planning it now. Yeah, I'm like, that's all I want.
Yes, my daughter, first thing she said is
saving and planning.
They were discussing and they were going to start a money cup and start saving. I'm like, thank God they got something out of that. That was really the big reason. We wanted to take the grandkid. We wanted the kids' experience. We wanted to be able to, we had other big aspirations for when this planning started. Didn't quite work out the way we wanted to. We were lucky enough to be able to pay for their flights and some other stuff. But I wanted to give them something that my parents were never able to give me. Not for the like of trying. They just didn't have a lot of money. And what I couldn't give them when they were younger, but also hopefully teach them something.
Yeah, I just want them to learn to save. And I hope everybody else, it's not impossible. I promise it's not. You just got to set a goal for yourself. And then we know people that they literally just don't have the willpower to save because they'll use their money. So people have given us money to like, I don't want to be your bank, but I will. I will start a
I did. I helped a friend. She might be watching right now. I helped a friend.
I'll start an envelope.
I started holding money for her till a certain amount so she can practice. And I think she's actually been saving better now.
Yeah, you can do it.
But it's also, you have to be, it's really like anything in life for success.
What are you willing to do?
You have to be willing to sacrifice. Give up going to that Starbucks and put the $8 you were going to buy a Starbucks coffee. I don't know what it costs. Put that in the cup. Anytime I get cash in my hand, half of that cash goes into my cup.
Yeah.
For savings.
Yeah.
Unless I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But if I go to the store and I'm like, oh, I have $20 in my wallet and I don't need it right now, it's going to go in that cup.
You know what?
Because if it stays in my wallet, it's going to get spent eventually.
I want us to get one of those big coin things.
An ATM machine. Oh.
And just like start putting all the change in there, like
we got change all over this house.
No, I know, but I want us to get like one of those big ones so you can like see it filling.
We used to be the change people.
Yikes.
The half price book sales, taking change to cash in for cash just to pay for groceries or gas or
that's back
whatever.
In the day.
So
we've been there and done
you got to learn, man. You got to learn.
You can do it.
And big props. I will also say to a friend of mine, Mike, that I haven't talked to in a while. That thing we listened to, that Rich Man Poor Man, that one time gave some. Really it didn't help me like it probably helped some people, but it gave us some perspectives on certain things. So do research, man.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was going to tell you, traveling with children and traveling with a wheelchair. We need to talk about that.
Oh, yes, Lord, yes.
Okay, so we recommend if you're going to go with a child, like a small child, get the stroller. You can rent the stroller for multiple days for a cheaper price. If you're like in one day is one price, but if you're like, I'm going to need it for 4 days, you get it at a cheaper price, and the wheelchair as well.
The same way, and you just hold. We didn't realize. Actually, I did realize, but I didn't realize at the time my son told me that you check it out, you turn it back in, you take a receipt to the next park, and they'll check it back out.
Yeah, so you want to do the multi-day rental, okay? With the wheelchair, just know you're going to have to park the wheelchair sometimes a little further down from the ride you're seeing, and then you have to go pick it up again. So that's
the stroller.
The stroller, sorry. Yeah. The stroller is a little annoying.
They have wheelchair access to everything.
Wheelchair access at Disneyworld is very easy. And
I want to give them props, too, for the design of, like, Tron.
Yeah.
So, like, Tron, it's a lay-down kind of a bike thing, right?
You're riding the Tron
but
bike.
They have a handicapped cart in the back.
Like a bucket
so if you
seat.
need I think you can wheel your entire wheelchair.
They have I noticed that on one of the Guardians rides. They had a wheelchair door, like you could just roll your wheelchair.
So like my son-in-law was in a wheelchair because he had broke his toe or his foot or whatever it was, and so my poor daughter had to push him around. The irony of that story, which is hilarious, is when they last went to Disney, when my daughter graduated, my son almost cut off his big toe. And he was on crutches, so he was in a wheelchair. So both times I've taken my kids to Disney, somebody has been in a wheelchair, and they've both been related to my daughter. So it's her fault.
When you're in a wheelchair, you do get to skip part of the line, which is kind of good and kind of bad. Because if
there were some benefits to it.
If you've never been, you miss part of the story in the line, but you do get to skip in the shorter lines. One of them, they let us go through Lightning Lane. The others just have a separate wheelchair entrance, which is shorter.
I'll tell them.
So thank you for being in a
Disney.
wheelchair.
I will say this: Disney's smart about their lines. They made all their lines where your wheelchair fits in the regular line.
Oh,
so you don't need to. You're not going to just skip everything like it was back in the day.
No.
Back in the day, if you're a wheelchair, you went ahead.
Yeah. So some of them you do get the shorter line. Some of them you go through the regular line. But they do have access. If you really are not able to transfer out of your wheelchair into the ride, you can roll yourself into most rides. Some of them, they will stop the lane, like the conveyor belts, to let you get in and out.
Yeah, they ask them, can you transfer?
Yeah. So they
The
will
same thing with the
slow
Skyliner.
down
There's different entry points to the
for
Skyliners,
wheelchairs, which is a shorter line.
and if you're in a wheelchair, but it's a wheelchair that you can get up out of and fold it, the Skyliner only allows 6 people per cart.
If with a wheelchair.
With a wheelchair, but if you can fold your cart, you can put in the 7.
10 people.
I think
Up to
I think
10
it was
people.
only. I don't think it was 10 stuff. It was the
It's
wheelchair.
max 10 per cart. Or
It's max 10, but it's max 6 with a wheelchair.
wheelchair.
But I don't think it was 10 if you have a wheelchair.
Okay.
Anyway, so we had
whatever.
7, so we found that out.
We figured it out.
So anyway.
Anyway, so yeah, there are ways around it. Just know you're going to be pushing.
That's the other thing about planning your trips too, is when you look at hotels, if you're going to stay at one of the resorts, all of them have the ferry, they have the buses, the trains, whatever to get there. But if you can stand at certain ones to use the Skyliner is way easier to travel. It's a little closer to the park, but it only goes to Hollywood Studios and Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And,
no. Yes.
And
no, it's just 2.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because the first 2 days we had to go to buses. Second 2 were Skyliners.
No, I thought Hollywood Studios did too.
I said Hollywood Studios and Epcot.
Sorry, yes, that's correct.
Are you on the same show I'm on?
I'm there.
So to get the Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, you have to take the buses or the other.
Or if you're at one of the hotels that has the boat dock, you can take the boat.
The ferry. Then there's also the
monorail. If you're in one of the bigger hotels that has the monorail, you could do that.
But then, of course, they have normal parking if you get a car, too.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the tram anymore, though.
They don't?
I didn't see the trams running. I think so, if you park. I heard they were going to bring them back, but I don't know if they have. I didn't see any trams running.
Anyways.
But anyway.
All right. That's our Disney wrap up. If you have any questions, let us know. We are cheaper than one of those Disney sales agent people.
Yeah, honestly, though, yes. Post a question to us here.
Ask us questions.
Go to our website at HollywoodMatrimony.com. Send us a message from there.
Send us personal
We would love to make anybody's experience.
One of these.
Yeah. Anybody's experience faster, easier, and enjoyable, and not stressed.
Yes, it shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun.
I know so many people that have gone to Disney. They come up with like, "Oh my God, it was the worst time ever. We're so stressed. I've spent so much money. It's too expensive. Blah 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 blah." And yes, it is way expensive. It's more expensive than it probably should be on some level. And so that's not an argument that I would really argue about. But I'm like, if you look at everything you're doing and what you're getting and stuff, is it any more expensive than anything else? No,
not really.
You know, it's just people are so entitled now where they look at, well, they've got $1 billion. Why should they charge so much? They also have a lot of overhead on everything to pay for too. So
yeah.
Anyway,
that's all.
Until next time, we have one more trip at the end of this year, and then we'll do another show for you.
We'll tell you all about
international Disney travel.
We have no idea what we're doing yet. I mean, well, I know where we're going. I have no idea how this works yet. So I'm going to do some research. I got to plan out. I need the maps. I have to plan our route.
The planning for that trip starts tomorrow.
Yeah, because you know me. I need to see the park maps. And I'm going to plan, okay, this day we're going to start here. And we're going to work this way. Because I want to make sure this time we don't miss anything. So this one will probably be slower.
Yeah.
Because I want to see every single thing in case we never go back. It's going to be difficult.
Peace out, kid.
Peace be with you. Goodbye.
We'll see you.